Ask us anything about communication, conflict resolution, and boundaries.
Ooh.
Oh yeah, we're gonna be aiming for the fences. Mended Light. Welcome to Ask Us Anything, where we put it to you, our community, to ask us anything you want us to answer. Here we go.
How can I set boundaries with friends without losing them for good? How can I set boundaries without feeling like I'm being rude, disrespectful, or letting someone down, or being perceived as difficult? It feels hard and scary. Well, I have some questions, and it makes me think they've had experiences setting boundaries where they were told that they were being rude.
They were socially or verbally punished, yeah.
Yeah, or they were being disrespectful, or they were letting someone down, right? Mm-hmm. Or it was, so there's some preconceived notions there.
Yeah.
And so first asking yourself, okay, what are maybe some false or incongruent beliefs that I have around setting boundaries that I need to let go of?
Yeah.
And while I haven't had this exact experience with boundaries per se, I've had this experience with relying on other people, right? And
yeah.
I had beliefs, and it's like false beliefs around relying on other people. And it's not that I made them up or they came from nowhere.
Yeah.
But I realized, like, oh, sometimes people are going to respond the way that they're going to respond. And sometimes it's because I needed that feedback. And other times it's because how they perceive the situation.
You know what I say? People are going to people.
People are going to people, right?
True.
And so what false or incongruent beliefs do you need to let go of regarding setting boundaries?
Yeah.
One, and then number two, is there something you need to do differently?
Yeah.
And if there's not...
Maybe you set boundaries in a really harsh way.
Yeah, and if there's not something you need to do differently, let other people own their response.
Yeah.
Because here's the key thing about boundaries. We don't set boundaries because we're hoping other people are going to change, or we're hoping that other people are going to do things differently. We set boundaries to be clear for ourselves what our limits are, and to create safety for ourselves.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be an either or. You can set boundaries and be respectful. You can set boundaries and do it with love,
Yeah.
right? And sometimes we need to let go of those false dichotomies.
Friends, I want to invite you to a free 2-day virtual event, the Thrive Summit, all about unlocking the 5 key relationships to a fulfilling life. Join Alicia, myself, Marla and Jamie Keller, the founders of Bring Back Intimacy, and many other experts for this live summit, which takes place April 25th through 26th from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Eastern Time. The Thrive Summit is your gateway to discovering the secrets of a fulfilling life by nurturing the 5 essential relationships. Your relationships to self, family, spirituality, health, as well as your relationship to work and finances. Our vision is to bring together thought leaders who specialize in each area to provide you with a holistic plan for finding greater meaning and satisfaction in your life. Why should you attend? Well, for the expert guidance for starters. You're going to hear from over 30 leading experts who specialize in the areas of self-discovery, family dynamics, financial wellness, physical health, and spirituality. Our lineup of thought leaders will provide you with practical strategies to cultivate holistic well-being. And yes, that includes me if you want to interact with me and hear me talk. Whatever, no big deal. Then there's the interactive experience. You're going to engage in live workshops, panel discussions, and Q&A sessions designed to foster connection and collaboration. Hosted by Mended Light and Bring Back Intimacy, this event promises an interactive and enriching experience for all attendees. Also, it's a live virtual event, which means that you can experience the summit from the comfort of your own home. No travel required. Lastly, it's free to attend. The Thrive Summit is open to all, completely free of charge. Why? Because we believe that everyone deserves access to the tools and knowledge needed to live a more fulfilling life. Reserve your spot at the Thrive Summit today and take your first step towards a happier, more fulfilling life. Click the link in the description below or go to thrive.mendedlight.com.
And this is something, candidly, I've learned from you as a healer, setting boundaries is a natural weakness for me because it feels like I'm being burdensome, or it feels like I'm being harsh, or it feels like people aren't going to like me, and I want everyone, or just it feels uncomfortable, and I really value feeling comfortable, me and everybody else. And so I've learned from you how to do this healthily, because in my opinion, there's two extremes in boundary setting, and we want to avoid them and land in the middle. One extreme is apologetic boundary setting, where we are acting like the very mention of my needs is burdensome or problematic or selfish.
Yeah, I'm so sorry. I hope you understand. Overly apologetic.
Yes, and that's how I've been, right? The other extreme is boundary setting that is selfish. That is, my needs are the only one that matters. And whether or not I actually believe that, that's definitely how it's coming across.
Yeah.
Right? But the middle place, and this is where I think you excel, especially because you've put a lot of work into growing this way.
Yeah, I was going to say if I excel, it's only because I've worked through my own either-or dichotomy.
I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Like, she's had things to work on, I've had things to work on. Like, but where you've arrived is this wonderful place of boundary setting in a way that makes it okay for other people to do the same.
Yeah.
It models, hey, my needs matter, and of course yours do too. I'm expressing my needs, and because I respect and love you, I'm expecting you to honor that. But the beautiful thing is, I'm going to honor that coming from you as well.
Yeah.
And to me, that just simply looks like, instead of, hey, I'm sorry, or hey, just saying, hey, when this happens, this is how it makes me feel.
I realize my feelings are valid.
And in a relationship, this is a need I have, and I'm letting you know so you can rise to it, and I'm letting you know what I need.
Well, and for me, I talk about an either-or dichotomy.
Yeah.
And that for a long time, I had the false belief of, well, either other people's needs get met or my needs get met.
Yeah.
And I came to the realization that there's always an and I need to find the and. And
Yeah.
a lot of times finding that and takes some breathing. It takes some recognizing some false beliefs. It takes going to a place of peace and calm first. Quite often it takes taking a break from the situation, from that place of aroused emotional response, and going, okay, what are my needs? What are their needs? How do I find that and?
Yeah.
And then coming back to the conversation from a calm place. And there's certain people that aren't going to want to meet you there and are going to be unwilling to find that and.
Yeah.
And that's when you differentiate between, okay, this is a safe place and this isn't a safe place.
Yeah.
And when it's not a safe place, where are my boundaries? And you still have boundaries. And when it's not in a safe place, I often don't necessarily verbally communicate those boundaries to other people. I have a close family member who I love, but as a generality, not a safe place,
Yeah.
right? So I don't interact with them unless I have the emotional bandwidth to respond as the type of person I would like to be, regardless of how they behave.
Yeah.
So I don't return phone calls and I don't return text messages until I have the emotional bandwidth to interact with them however they show up. But that's not something I per se tell them.
No.
Because they don't, I tried to have those conversations with them. I tried for years and they don't understand. And they don't have the emotional maturity to meet me there with awareness.
Yeah.
So I have my own internal boundaries. Safer relationships, it's an open conversation. And that was such a powerful awareness that I got to, of differentiating between, hey, this is a safe relationship where this person can meet me with emotional maturity, and this is not a safe relationship where they can meet me with emotional maturity. And the way I can still interact with them, but it's not going to be as close, and it's not going to be as much connection.
Yeah.
And I can grieve and mourn that I would like a different relationship, but I have no control over who they choose to be and how they choose to show up.
Right. Well, and that speaks to the importance of surrounding yourself with people who honor your boundaries, right? If you draw a boundary and someone respects that, it's a good indicator that this is a person to have in your life.
Next question. I struggle with communicating about negative feelings. My knee-jerk reaction is to minimize how I feel and say it's all fine. During any kind of conversation where I feel emotional or unheard or misunderstood, I either shut down or can't get the right words out because my brain gets overwhelmed with feelings. What do I do? I grew up in an environment where it didn't feel safe to be vulnerable.
Yeah.
And so whether or not most likely they're probably in a relationship where it is safe to be vulnerable now, but the superhighways of the way their brain is hardwired to shut down because it didn't used to be safe.
Yeah.
And so how do you get to that place of emotional vulnerability where it does feel safe?
There are several things that come to mind, but the first one for me is stonewalling. Right? We stonewall, we don't say anything, or we don't say much. And sometimes stonewalling is used to punish the other person, right? We feel like they wronged us, and so we're going to teach them a lesson through the silent treatment. But that's not what's being described here. What's being described here is, I feel like if I speak, it'll get slapped down. I feel like if I speak, it'll get minimized. Or I feel like if I speak, I'm going to say something that I regret. And so I just say nothing. And what happens is we stuff and we stuff and we stuff. The solution for stonewalling, according to the Gottmans, and I agree with them, so does all their research, is to self-soothe. To self-soothe and then to re-engage. Because the fact is, your needs matter. Your voice matters. And being able to express what you need and have people rise to the occasion, or not. And if they don't, then you can look elsewhere. But that's an important part of the process. And you won't know what to say or how you want to say it until you self-soothe and get to a place of calm and then speak your mind instead of just pushing it down, pushing it down, pushing it down.
Last question. How can I take criticism without feeling like I'm being attacked? I just started a new job in a field that I have years of experience in, and my coworkers keep coming into my space and telling me what I'm trying to do is wrong. I get defensive because I don't know them and they don't know me. I'm hoping things will change once we do get to know each other.
Okay, I want to address this specific situation and then a broader situation.
So the broader situation of getting defensive.
The broader situation of getting defensive and feeling like I'm being attacked when I'm just being offered correction. Specifically in this situation, I've been in this field for years. My coworkers are telling me what I'm doing is wrong. What that likely boils down to, this situation, is how things are done where you're at. If I'm a basketball player and I've been playing for 15 years and I have thrived in other teams, but I'm on a new team now and they keep correcting me, I may want to say, who the hell do you think you are? Haven't you seen the highlight reels? Don't you know what I'm capable of? And in this case, you read my resume. You know what my accomplishments are. But what they're saying is, here's how we do it on our team. Here's how we do it here. So that's that. To the bigger picture, and this is something I've wrestled with, we often take as criticism what is meant to be correction or what is meant to be helpful. And I will give you, maybe your coworkers or the people in your life aren't phrasing it in the way that is how you're going to receive it best. Totally get that. If what they're saying is something that can help you to grow, if what they're saying, you disagree with 90% of it, but there's 10% in there that you're like, yeah, that's helpful. If you can have that humility to be teachable, then what's going to happen is, I'm guessing they ride this person so hard because there's so much resistance. I'm guessing that if I show that I'm humble and teachable, people don't feel the need to push me so hard. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And it's hard to tell, right?
It's hard to tell.
Because there is toxic work environments.
There are.
And there are also people who do get overly defensive.
But for me personally, getting defensive was a knee-jerk reaction because of feeling low self-worth. My worth wasn't low, but I felt like it was. Self-loathing, self-hatred. And when I came to realize and accept that I'm already worthy, I'm already good enough. So everything that comes at me is just an opportunity for growth and learning. That helped me to minimize defensiveness. And I'm not going to lie and say I never get defensive or I don't have those emotional moments. But I felt less attacked when I realized that there's nothing anyone can say that can diminish my worth. As soon as I embrace that, then nothing is an attack. And especially for people like me who are words of affirmation people, If the words don't feel affirming, then I take it personally, right? And so this is what I just laid out for you is how I've been working through that. If you'd like to continue on your journey towards greater communication and conflict resolution, we invite you to check out this video, Attachment Theory, what it is and how it's affecting your relationships. Gonna pop up right here. When it comes to communicating what your boundaries are and what your needs are, what have been your struggles and what have been your successes? How have you worked through them? Please share with our community so we can all learn from each other. And until next time, folks, keep shining.
We need your light.